So I'm Adrian, and
I'm Andrew.
this is our CS125 final project. Really, an NBA stats generator type of app where if you input the name of any NBA player that's currently playing, then basically what it's going to do when you press the go button is just spit out a bunch of stats about that player. And this is just an app that we thought would be cool to make because we're both pretty new to coding, but we're both interested in basketball, so we kind of wanted to work with like an NBA stats type of API. Um, and yeah, so just to kind of demonstrate a little bit how it works, Andrew's putting in some different names right now just to test to see if it works. So Anthony Davis works there, as you can see, because he's a current basketball player. If you want to type in like a random,
Oh yeah, we can do just a random string here.
yeah, so that's another test case where basically there's an error pop up if you type in a name that's not valid. It's not an NBA player.
Also, if you get an NBA player not from the current year, that won't work either.
Exactly, yeah. So kind of a different error message there, but it's kind of the same concept. And yeah, those are just kind of some of the test cases. I don't know if you want to move on and talk a little bit about the APIs.
So to do this, we use two different APIs. Well, one and a half kind of. So there's the official API, is the NBA Stats API. That's over here. And it has just all of these different stats that you can get from the NBA. And we went for simple stuff, just basic player, regular season stats. And that's because the NBA Stats API kind of sucks. It's really complicated, and there's very poor documentation on how it actually works. But so to get around that, we had some help. Like a third party had some documentation on it. So something that's really important is getting a player ID, and this has a function to get a player ID. The original API actually doesn't have that. And so we can make a call to that here with the name that the user puts in, and then we can use that information, the player ID, to call the actual API, which is somewhere else. It's over here. Spits out this monster.
Yeah. So I think as far as work split for this, I know that both of us were pretty busy throughout these past few weeks. So a lot of the work was kind of just taken up on our own time, and we would like stay in constant communication, just text each other as far as like committing and pushing, like making sure we're on the same page there. And then there would be like a few moments where we would have to meet up when we were stuck and like we weren't really sure what to do. I think, I don't know, any examples?
The first one was trying to just do the API call.
Yeah,
the first
that's right.
This was a big one.
Yeah, because we weren't really sure how to connect the two. I guess like Andrew was saying, like the 1.5 APIs there.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you want to talk about the JSON a little bit.
Yeah. So another problem, as you probably guessed from seeing this JSON, was parsing that. And I mean, that's not complicated. It is kind of complicated. There's no real trick to it. You just have to like be patient and go through it. Another issue, as I kind of alluded to earlier, was just understanding the API, because we knew it had everything we needed, right? There's an absurd amount of information here. There's no way there's not like points per game in here somewhere. But just being able to understand it. So we did a lot of Googling around, just kind of research wherever, and then we found the other like helper API to work with that. Then another big thing within the actual coding itself was to do some of the UI changes. We had to like actually work with a lot of the different folders in Android, like colors and styles. And that was not stuff we had experience with. Like in a lot of the MPs, you're pretty much in main activity, and that's just where you are. You just do your code there. And so we struggled with that for a bit before we figured it out.
I guess just kind of to add to that a little bit, maybe going back to the work split a little bit, was that Andrew's kind of like the Java guy throughout the process, and I was more of the XML guy as far as working on like, the UI and the design of the app itself. But I think just going from there, just another problem that we ran into with seasons as well. I think we made that modification originally, in that we wanted the app to originally look like you would enter the player name as well as the season, and would be able to look up that specific season for that player. But that was kind of tough for us to do, especially because the API itself is kind of recording seasons as like a multiple, which was just kind of odd to work around. So we ended up simplifying it to just more like a recency-based call there as far as the player. And then just continuing forward with the app, I mean, there are a number of things we can do, but because it's pretty bare bones at the moment, but we could definitely do player comparisons in the future. As far as stats, that should be pretty simple to implement in the future. Just kind of
just have one player here, and then you type another player and have that just pop up over here.
Exactly.
Hard at all.
Literally just comparing the stats side by side. And that's just it's really just adding another everything. We could maybe incorporate another screen to take up that place. I don't know. Do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think you pretty much covered it. One thing we might do is add more data. All the stuff we have here is pretty simple. It's all just basic counting stats: points per game, assists per game, rebounds per game, blocks, steals, minutes per game. Add things like, I don't know, player efficiency rating, or even just like percentages, just to make it more expansive.
I mean, maybe win percentage.
Yeah,
obviously,
win shares, all that good stuff.
Yeah, a lot of that depends on like what team they're on and like what the season is, of course. But I think for the most part, that's kind of the general gist of the app. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's about it. Thanks for listening. Here's our GitHub repository for this project.